Hey, this is the Entertainment Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is a topic of how we can make movies great again. So, for this video, I will explain in a simple and straightforward way the topic of how we can make movies great again in a way that anyone, even those unfamiliar with this topic, can understand. So, now I mention that, let's get started. So, when it comes to the topic of how we can make movies great again, it simply comes down to one of the most important things that needs to be done in order to make movies great. You know, and not just great, but obviously something that's also commercially um, able to become successful, which is better techniques. So, in other words, a way to speed up the process of making movies. Okay, which the way that can definitely be done is through something known as a reference sheet. Now, why is a reference sheet so important when it comes to you know being able to become better able to write of course movies and stuff like that? Well, the truth of the matter is, as I'm certain you're all aware, a movie, even though it's somewhat different from a TV show, it has one fundamental similarity. A movie is a story. Okay, it's a story. Okay, and the truth of the matter is, when you are coming up with a story, anyone who knows anything about coming up with a story knows that even though it might be easier for some people than others, there is of course a natural difficulty to it, because the first thing that of course is going to come up is what I'm going to write a story about. Okay, and the purpose of a reference sheet is that it gives suggestions of what you can do, or I should say, what you can use to help you come up with an idea. Okay, because even though, of course, you might at least fundamentally know, okay, I want to write a action movie, or I want to make a movie that's about a comedy, or something, or maybe it's a more adventure, whatever, all that type of stuff, to be honest with you. Okay. When it comes to the story, you want to create that, of course, you want to make into a movie. The truth of the matter is, okay, there is something that you need to keep in mind, is that you still need to have something known as a freaking suggestion. Like, for example, if I'm going to make an adventure movie, where is it going to take place? Like, is it going to take place in, like, you know, this world, or is it an imaginary world I made up? And that's what I'm trying to get at here. So that's the purpose of the suggestion sheet. It makes it easier for you to just naturally come up with an idea without having to waste your time sitting there looking in front of a blank page, not having any ideas come to your head whatsoever. And that's the truth of the matter, for crying out loud, okay? So that is exactly what you need to do in order to make the process of coming up with a story better, okay? To be honest with you, okay? So that's the purpose of it, which I don't know if you watched the last video I did yesterday, it's a similar premise to music, like the best way to um, come up with something that is good is that you have to, of course, speed up the process of doing it. And when it comes to this video, it's no different, because the truth of the matter is, this is the main reason why movies nowadays suck so much. Okay, there's different variables, such as the whole getting offended by everything, the whole cancel culture thing, which is extremely annoying, and just, if anything, makes society more racist, if anything, because people have a harder time distinguishing between something that's actually offensive and not offensive. But once you get past that point, okay, the truth of the matter, you know, like that bullshit about like having some random black person set in a time period, and a location where they wouldn't have been seen at that particular time, for crying out loud. Once you get past that crap, okay, which is mad annoying, the truth of the matter is, when it comes to, of course, the issue of making a good quality movie, the truth is, from a financial perspective, quality does not sell. Okay, it takes a very long time. It not only takes a lot of time, it of course takes a lot of effort. And if you're a financial person, common sense would indicate you want to produce something as fast as possible to make a profit. That's the biggest reason why movies nowadays suck, because in the past, when they actually relied on quality, it took like forever, for a good quality movie to be made. Okay, it already takes a long time now, even with the crappy movies. But back then, it took even longer because people had to really think things out and come up with good scripts and develop the best action scenes and yada yada yada, the whole 9 yards. You know, for crying out loud. So of course, from a financial perspective, it was tiresome because took a lot of time, and the more time it takes, the more money, obviously, you lose in the process. Okay, that's the truth of the matter. Especially with social media, there's more hype than there's ever been. So the truth of the matter is, when it comes to, of course, you know, resolving this issue, instead of being like a lot of people on the internet who are just going to sit there and complain and say, oh, things suck now and they're never going to get any better, the best way to do it is to find a compromise. Most situations in life in general have a compromise, and when it comes to this, it's no different. Okay, because what this will do, a reference sheet, which I'll eventually make a video in further detail, is make it possible for people to come up with ideas a lot quicker. Okay, for that matter. Okay, and it's not just even just about me. Okay, specifically about me. It's just in general speaking, there's definitely a way that you can speed up the process. Okay, of making a story. Okay, so instead of just like writing, just a story or something and just like writing it as you go along and trying to figure something out, you can automatically just come up with an idea. Like everything from, okay, like where do I want my story to take place? Let's just say the person wants to write an ancient history story. You already have a list of suggestions you can use. Okay, whether it could be the Romans, um, the medieval knights, the feudal Japanese samurai. You have a huge suggestion of story ideas you can come up with, and you could just come up with it more quicker, if anything. So it's something like that. It makes the process easier, and it's not just for like where it's going to take place. It can also be for other things like the setting. It can also be not just for the setting. Like, you want your setting to be more upbeat, you want to be dark beat. It can also be um, include things like different types of plots. Like, is this about rescuing someone? Is this about for example, a revenge story? Is it about this? Is it about that? So you have a list of suggestions for anything you want to use for your story, so you speed up the process quicker and not have to use up a lot of time just thinking and not really getting anywhere for God knows how long, to be honest with you. So if you could do that, specifically if you're a master filmmaker or something, common sense would indicate, you know, that you can speed up the process, and not just speed up the process of being able to do this type of stuff. Okay, um, you know, the truth of the matter is, you can also make it of a good quality as well, especially specifically if you're experienced. Because there's only like anything in the world, there's something known as a peak. There's only so high you can go until you reach a very limit to how good it can be for anything, like how well written the story is and this and that, how detailed the fight scenes are, or whatever you can imagine. There's a peak to everything. Okay, and when it comes to the quality of something like a movie, you know um there definitely is something known as a peak. So that's the truth of the matter right then and there. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get across here. So in short, yes, I definitely believe that's the best way to solve the movies. Okay, because these financial people, these people who produce movies and stuff, are greedy, and they want money as quickly, and not just as quickly, as much as possible. So we have to find a way to compromise it, and maybe through doing that, it can make it possible for movies to not take many years to come up with a script and everything for it. It might take a few months if you're an experienced filmmaker. Besides, if you're a filmmaker, obviously that's the one thing you're doing with your life. And if you're doing only one thing with your life, common sense would indicate, okay, you're definitely going to be quite good at it compared to the average person who is focuses on becoming good at multiple different skills, for that matter. Okay, so if that's one thing you have to do with your life because you just want to be a filmmaker and that's about it, then you have more than enough time to become good at it, for that matter. Okay, so that's the truth of the matter. And when it comes to being experienced, specifically if you're really interested, and becoming experienced, you know, because you were interested in making good quality movies and stuff, then that's the truth of the matter. Common sense is going to indicate, of course, you're going to make some good quality movies and you're going to speed up the process of making a movie and just come up with good ideas through using a reference sheet. That's the truth of the matter. So, in short, definitely, yes, this will be a very effective way to do this, so we can balance the, of course, quality with, of course, the deadlines these companies need. So that's the truth of the matter. So yes, I do believe that's the best way to make movies great again. Okay, so anyway, this is my video. This is all I have to say. And just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumbs this video up and hit the subscribe button. And that is it. So simply put it, I'm out. So bye.